When it comes to North Scottsdale, there's only one place that really takes off. Yeah, you guessed it, that's the Scottsdale Airport. It's come a long way since the airport opened in June of 1942 as a training field for World War II Army Air Corps pilots. Now it's one of the busiest corporate airports in Arizona with over 164,000 flights in 2021 alone. Whether you're heading to the Scottsdale Airport for a ride out of town, a date night at Volanti, or just to enjoy watching the planes, the Scottsdale Airport is seen and heard around town. Sarah, thank you so much for joining me today. Let's talk about some of the cool things happening at the airport. 164,000 flights in 2021 alone. That's just crazy to me.
Yes.
About how many planes live there? Tell me a little bit more about the details. And I do have a rumor on the street I would like to answer it if you can. Does Oprah Winfrey's plane live in Scottsdale Airport?
Not that I'm aware
Okay.
of. And it could be, you know.
Okay.
I'm not always as privy to all the celebrities, you know. They're kind of hidden under some of these LLCs, and I'm sure we have
Very true.
some really good celebrities, high profile there.
I love it. I love it. That's the thing. There are so many people here. So tell me a little bit about the history of the airport and how it got established here in Scottsdale.
Oh, yes. Like back in 1967, it started out as a City of Scottsdale public airport.
Okay.
So before then, it was a World War II training facility, as most airports kind of get their start. So
okay.
when you ever visit the Scottsdale Airport, you'll see in the front a biplane. And that biplane were the planes that used to train at Scottsdale Airport. So it's just a wonderful opening to our Aviation Business Center. So hopefully people will come and visit and see that biplane. That's kind of shows you where we got our start.
I didn't know that was the plane. I've seen it. It's the big blue plane hanging there, right? When you walk up. Yeah, I did not know that was the planes that they were training with.
Oh, yes. That one specifically wasn't the one that flew,
Right.
but it was very much like that plane.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a tribute to our history for sure. And gosh, and then from there, 1967, it kind of started as a public airport. A few months thereafter, we saw our first jet that came to Scottsdale Airport, and it's been pretty much taken off.
I know.
Excuse the pun.
I know.
We can't help ourselves from there. But yes, definitely.
So do you all still do training with the military at all at the airport?
No, it's pretty much transitioned to a public airport.
Okay.
And what we're known for right now is just appealing to different types of business aviation. We have flight training schools, we have little prop planes, we have business jets that look pretty big in scale to those smaller planes, but we welcome all sorts of different types of aviation businesses.
But y'all are open 24/7, I've learned.
Correct.
Okay, so it helps that Scottsdale has the most perfect weather, so there's no issues with planes coming in. Has it always been that way? And how does that work with everything in the city?
Absolutely. That's part of the allure of Scottsdale, I think, is that we have so many beautiful flying weather days. But as a public airport, we get our funding from the federal government. So because of that, we do need to remain open 24/7.
Okay.
So that's not something that the City of Scottsdale dictates. It is a federal government deal. So we are open 24/7.
That means every airport in the nation, even like Sky Harbor, because it gets government funding, it has to be open 24/7?
If they are a federally grant-funded airport, yes, they have those parameters. Unless there's something, I always say there's some nuances with some airports if they're grandfathered in, but typically if they're federally grant and they accept those funds, they are open 24/7.
Okay, let's kind of talk about that. We'll just go into it while it's on topic, the noise problem. Some people complain about it. I am personally not affected by it in the sense, my family and I love it. We think it's really cool to sit outside on our porch and kind of guess where these planes are coming from.
Yes.
So talk to me about how you work with noise, because it is around a lot of communities here in North Scottsdale.
Yes. One of the things that the City of Scottsdale has implemented from way back, and we've done 3 studies, they're called noise studies, and with that comes this really robust noise abatement program. And in that program, without getting into all the nitty-gritty details, there's a lot of different procedures that come into place. We try to advocate for pilots to get up in altitude as fast as they can so that the residents under them may not be able to hear them as much.
Okay.
So really, in essence, we're looking at any ways to mitigate the noise impacts to the residential areas. The City of Scottsdale has also done a great job with not putting residential districts right around the airport.
Right.
They are close,
Right.
but they're not within what we call the noise contours.
Okay.
So the areas that get the greatest noise impacts, we do not have those residential areas located there. So I know you may see an occasional plane, you may hear it, but we really try to work as hard as we can to kind of strike that balance, between we want to house these aircraft and definitely host all these operations here, but also try to mitigate those impacts for the neighbors that are around.
That makes sense. Well, like you said, there's no neighborhoods around the airport, but the air park is there, huge part. Tell me how you work with the air park and why it's so important to really both of you.
Yeah, well, we're very unique in that our air park has taxi lanes that give them access to our airport.
Oh, very cool.
So there's the greater air park, of course.
Right.
And then what we at the airport kind of consider are the air park are all those private parcels that have access to our airport through a private or public taxi lane.
Okay.
So as you can imagine, this is special.
Yeah.
I mean, you can actually land your plane in your private hangar, get a clicker, and of course there's procedures and processes in place to get that access, and then you can pretty much click into the airport and fly off, conduct your business, go to play, and come on back and go into your hangar. So that's a unique setup. It's not something that most airports have configured that way, but early on we were able to do that.
That's really cool. And it's special to the people that land here. I know that means a lot to them, to having that easy access, exclusivity, and stuff like that. I mean, that's really who y'all are trying to bring in and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And imagine if you have a business with different locations, just the ease of travel, being able to cater around your own schedule and not a commercial scheduled flight means a world of difference to many businesses.
Night and day. Yes. Talk about the economic impact you've had on the city of Scottsdale and how you've worked together for that.
Oh gosh, the numbers are incredible. And
That's
so
good.
I think that, when you look at it, it's hard to imagine that this little airport, well, I wouldn't even say a little airport. You have this airport in the middle of town, kind of tucked away where maybe not everybody's aware of it, can bring $1 billion in economic benefits from just aviation-related activity. And that's in both the airport and the air park.
Yeah.
But we have just incredible numbers. The jobs situation, from aviation related, from being in the industrial zone, from having an airport in your community just brings in a lot of jobs, business activity, tourism dollars. The airport reaps some benefits too from fuel sales and landing fees. So all in all, it is a definite amenity to have it here in Scottsdale.
That's fantastic, and that's something we need, especially being a tourist destination. Y'all prepared for that last year. You went through a major runway renovation. First of all, I don't know how those guys worked in the month of July last year, re-tarring a runway. It has to be the worst job in Scottsdale for the month of July. Talk to me about the details, what you all did. Are there more plans for extension in the works? Because we're about to, just blow up with people next year with all the events that Scottsdale and the Valley is going to be hosting.
Yes. So one of the things about Scottsdale Airport is we're landlocked. So we are not growing as far as the configuration of the airport. So what we did this last summer and fall was actually rehabilitate our current runway.
Okay.
So we kind of dug in there, went all the way down to the base, they milled, overlay, did a full-on rehabilitation with the runway. And that's to keep it in prime condition for operations. We want to keep it safe, free from FOD for the aircraft owners, and it needed to be done. It was the first time we've done the whole runway in this type of project. It was an $11 million project.
Wait, since the airport opened?
Yes.
Oh, it really needed an update.
Yes.
Everyone else is getting updated here in Scottsdale.
It's our turn.
Everyone else is getting facelifts. Let's get it to the airport.
Absolutely.
So, the $11 million renovation. So you really just redid it to update it so it was safer for the planes and everyone.
Yes, kind of just as, I always liken it to streets. At some point you need to dig in there down to the very base and start to redo the asphalt and get, you can only do so many overlays, and then it's no, we've got to take this out and start over again.
And y'all kept it on schedule. That was crazy to me.
These crews were fantastic. So it was, it was incredible to see the project. So you had our engineering firm Mead and Hunt and Bannicky Construction, and they all worked together to coordinate a seamless project and get it done in 39 days. So
wow.
I know. And as luck would have it, of course, weather came into play. How many times does that happen?
Last year was crazy. It is funny. We had a cool July and a wet one too, one time. How are we preparing for next year? Because, I mean, we have the Super Bowl, Barrett Jackson, Arabian Horse Show, of course the Waste Management Open, all within a month, 3 weeks of each other?
I think your
eyes are spinning right now.
Yes, but we're ready. You know, we fortunately have a great plan that we had implemented for Super Bowl and these Barrett Jackson, all the other super season, like I like to frame it.
Absolutely.
In 2015. And things went just very well.
Okay.
So we're going to dust off those plans. In fact, we're already in it. We're in the midst of looking at those plans, you know, seeing if there's anything we need to look at, and we'll be ready again for operations to go as seamlessly as possible during the event season.
Yeah. Well, I want to take a short break. When we come back, there's so much more that goes on in the airport besides your private planes and business planes coming in. So I want to hear a little bit more about that.
Absolutely.
Awesome. See, easy peasy. We're both doing great. Neither one of us had to.
Yeah, well, you're so easy to talk to. I feel like I'm just talking to you.
You are. Good. I'm glad you feel that way. All right. So let me do this. Okay. All right. We'll talk about everything else. All right, I am sitting here at the table with Sarah Ferrara, the Aviation Planning and Outreach Coordinator at Scottsdale Airport. We've talked about all the great things that's been going on in Scottsdale, how important this is to our economy here. It brings in so much money, employs so many people. But you are more than just a plane, you know, an airport runway. You have an amazing restaurant. My husband and I love date nights there. I've actually gone to an event in your Hangar 1. That was a lot of fun. And I know plenty of parents, I have young kids, that go just to hang out and watch the planes land. I go into detail about some of those because I don't want to ruin it and tell everybody everything.
Absolutely. You know, I invite anyone to come out to really experience Scottsdale Airport at our new Aviation Business Center. I mean, it's actually not new. It's been there for a few years. But you can walk up even if you don't choose to go at the restaurant at that point in time. You go upstairs, you can sit out on the patio and watch these beautiful aircraft land, take off, sitting on the ramp. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised about how entertaining it is just to watch the aircraft. And if you get really, really lucky, you may see even some military operations coming in and out of Scottsdale Airport. Yes.
Talk a little bit about those, because I swear I saw some fighter jets around town like in the past month or so.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Now, they're not scheduled, so we don't really know when they're going to show up. Most of the time, it's on a training mission. So they're coming to fuel up. Maybe their pilots need some rest. It's a good stop between where their final destination is in their training.
Yeah.
So we don't always know when they're coming, but if you kind of hear something maybe a little out of the ordinary, I would look up, because it may be a military helicopter, aircraft, fighter jet pilot. It is really, to me, a wonderful experience to see, and you'll have prime viewing spot right there from the balcony.
I think that's so cool. Yes. And that's how it all started, too.
Yes.
So about how many planes can land? I know you're open 24/7, but what's the average amount of planes that land and take off from the airport in a day?
That's a tough question because, it really depends on who's coming in and out. We have a great FAA air traffic control tower that manages all the airspace travel coming into and out of our airport. If you looked at like maybe a very busy day during event season. So
different, I get that.
Very different than the summer months, or even now we're going into more of our slower operational times. You could get 300-400 aircraft coming in and out in a single day.
That's a lot, actually.
Yeah, it can be.
I didn't let you finish the first answer before I got excited to ask more. Yeah. Talk about Hangar 1. You can have private events at your airport as well?
Yes, so we have a lot of, now that's a privately owned hangar.
Okay.
But they do have access to the airport.
Okay.
And so we have several of those type of properties that have phenomenal venue places for different events and have held events. And, definitely during our busy season, there'll be some top name parties happening over there, or events. But we have a business directory on our website, too, if you're interested in reaching out to any of those, because they are privately owned.
Got you. Okay, very nice. Is there room for more? Are there room for more planes there? Or are we maxed out?
We are getting really, really tight here. What we are seeing, though, is redevelopment happening.
Okay.
And as we kind of explained about those private parcels, there's still some parcels out there up for either redevelopment or development that would have access to the airport. But the airport itself, there's probably just 2 properties that I see out there that are undeveloped.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, it's pretty tight right now.
Is it true, I'm going to ask you another rumor, is it true that y'all have flights that just go to and from Vegas daily and you can just throw people on there if you want for the day?
So we do not operate any of the aircraft or charter companies, but there is a charter company out there, a couple actually, that will have some scheduled flights. Now they're not commercially scheduled because we're not a commercial scheduled airport. But they are, under the law, able to do certain, certain routes and stuff. So there are some companies out there that provide that service. And if you ever get the opportunity, that's the way to go.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, not driving at all. Let me do a quick trip back and forth.
No TSA. You can kind of get on your airplane and get going.
And y'all do international flights.
Yes, that's a huge thing for us.
Yeah.
We have U.S. Customs service offered daily through our airport. And, our numbers are shooting through the roof with that. I think we had over 1,400 U.S. processing for customs service last year alone. Of course, many of them, our visitors are from Canada and even from Mexico.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see them from all over the place, Switzerland and Russia and, all over the world. They're being able to come to Scottsdale Airport,
That's
which is
pretty cool.
Pretty incredible, yes.
Yeah, that's great for us, putting us on the map even more.
Oh, yes.
I love it. Well, before we leave and before you take off, I could just do these puns all day, I feel like.
I can't do. I love them personally.
What is your favorite Scottsdale vibe, Sarah? What's your favorite thing about the vibe in Scottsdale?
About the vibe? I love the outdoors. I mean, on a personal level, I just love how Scottsdale was able to offer a city that had, you have an urban kind of feel, shopping and restaurants, and you can also not go very far and be outdoors. So
Yeah, I love that.
The mountains, and I love how they preserved all of the outdoor spaces.
I agree. Thank you so much for joining me at the table today. I really learned so much. I mean, it's kind of like you said, it's right here in the middle of a busy area of Scottsdale, but it's like, and we love seeing the planes come over, me and my kids and my husband do. But there's so much more to you guys. And so thank you for teaching us and learning, and thank you for just being you and having fun.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was great. I appreciate it very much.